All right, so a couple days ago, I spent some time answering the question, what should I read? And I wanted to answer another question that comes up pretty often and that I feel very, very passionate about, which is, why should I read? Listen, there's a million things to do all the time, and we live in a society, especially as Americans, I believe, we overschedule ourselves. We have a million things going on. Why should I stop and take the time to read, which for some people takes a lot of time to finish even a single book? Why should I do that? And it's a hard thing to justify for some people. There's so much good entertainment out there. Why books, right? Why can't I just watch something on Disney Plus or Hulu or Netflix or in any of those streaming services? And my answer is, first of all, listen, I love all of those streaming services, those TV shows and movies just as much as the next person. But number one is I know that a vast majority, like a huge amount of those things that you're seeing on the streaming services, before they were a TV show or a movie, they were a book. And the book is almost always better than the movie because the book has room for more development. It's able to develop the characters much more effectively. But aside from that, which perhaps is just an opinion, there is scientific evidence, and one of my favorite sets of educational authors, Kylene Beers and Robert Probst, talk about the benefits of reading. And so some of those benefits are things like it increases your vocabulary, it strengthens your ability to make inferences, it increases your understanding of different genre types. You know, the things that makes a mystery different than a science fiction, different than an extemporaneous. You know, those kinds of things. These genre definers. You understand them better when you read more. You recognize good writing more. There's about 15 different reasons. I mean, they list 10 in an infographic in one of their books. But the one that stands out to me the most, and the one that is absolutely the most vital to me, the one that I stress the most, is that reading has been scientifically proven to increase empathy. Empathy is our ability to be able to sort of put ourselves in other people's shoes, to think about things from their perspectives and feel what they feel. And I think that's something that is, lacking in our society sometimes. It's hard for me, I am a 30 at this moment right now. I'm a 38-year-old overweight, balding white dude from a suburb in Dallas Fort Worth. I've lived here pretty much my entire life. I am a Christian. I am heterosexual. I am. All of these things are a part of how I would explain myself. If someone asked me to tell them about me, these are all a big part of who I am, right? Because I'm those things, it's very hard for me to understand a world from any other kind of perspective. I don't know what it's like to be a woman or to be black or to be LGBTQ, or I've never lived that, right? So how can I understand what their world is like? Well, number one, I can make friends with people that are those things and have conversations with them and get to know them, and that's certainly preferred. But some people don't live in very diverse areas, or maybe they don't share hobbies. Maybe they're not around a lot of people that are diverse. So how can I understand those people groups? Reading is that. George R.R. Martin talks about the reader lives 1,000 lives. And the idea there is that when I'm reading a book, I put myself in the shoes of the protagonist and I understand the world from their viewpoint, right? So when I read the 57 Bus, I'm getting to understand for a moment what it's like to be both a non-binary individual, and there's two protagonists in that story, and the other one is a young black boy growing up in a tough neighborhood. It helps me to understand those things a little bit better, right? And the gift that empathy gives us is it helps us to desire a positive outcome for a larger swath of society, right? It helps us to fight not just for my rights, but for the rights of the people in the country that I live in the world that I live in. And that is a gift that will never go bad. So if I could recommend one reason to read more, my reason would be that it increases empathy, and that's something that we could all stand to grow in. So with that said, I hope you find a book that you love, especially if you can find a book from a perspective that's a little different than yours, and I hope you pick it up.